Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Redux What Ifs, and I got something new for y'all, man. I got a new what if for y'all, man. This isn't gonna be like the usual Maury or Gojo, man. If y'all was paying attention to the community post and the community tabs I put up, I was watching recently, like few this weekend and last weekend I was watching Superman and Lois. Shout out to my mom for putting me onto that. When I went to go visit my mom, we watched that together, and I gotta tell you, it was a pretty good show. It was so good that I watched it again, and I was like, dang, I really forgot how good this show is. For all my DC fans and my Superman fans, man, like, bro, like, that is for a CW show. Well, it's not a CW show no more. I don't think it's more of a HBO show. But even then, bro, like, that shit is fire. Graphics are good. Storyline is amazing. It's way better than The Flash. Actually, season 1 and season 2 of it are like peak. Season 3 was peak of The Flash, but season 4, it kind of fell off. But season 4 of Superman and Lois, bro, that shit right there, straight fire, straight heat, bro. Like, it's so fire. And I was like, damn. I was reading a Marvel comic about Hyperion, how he's basically like Marvel's Superman, but he's a celestial, or like, a celestial, and he could do everything that Superman can do, basically. And he has energy blasts. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know Hyperion did that, or maybe certain iterations of it. So, for this what if, I'm going to be bringing y'all what if Hyperion was in Superman and Lois. And the way I'm going to be doing this is, first thing, I got to make Hyperion black, bro. Like, I'm sorry. It just has to be done. It has to be done. I was thinking about how I was going to do it, and I figured it out how I was going to do it. And the second thing is, the way Hyperion's power works is basically like Superman, but the difference is that Hyperion won't be weak to kryptonite, since he's not Kryptonian. He's a celestial, or I don't know what alien race he is exactly, but I know his weakness won't be kryptonite, so that's a +1. But I do have to nerf him somehow, so I will probably I would say that there's like a certain frequency that will make his ears that will like weaken him, but at the same time he's able to power through it. So I'll figure out how to weaken him eventually. But like I said, yeah, he really doesn't have any weaknesses unless you like filter blue, like if you filter the sun rays, which I'm pretty sure nobody would be able to figure that out. But I will say that since his powers are developing, he'll be like, susceptible to most things. If they ever take his DNA or anything and they figure out his weakness, then he'll have weaknesses. But so far, the only real weaknesses that Hyperion has is blue radiation, not blue radiation, but blue sunlight. Like, if he's near a blue star, it has the same effects as a red star for Superman. His powers will slowly drain, and prolonged exposure, he won't have any powers. And he's really sensitive to sound, since his hearing is so adept that if you have it like at a certain frequency and say something or play a certain sound at a certain frequency, that's also another weakness that he has. And what is it? Vibranium is another weakness that he has, since it crash landed in the Marvel universe. But since there's no vibranium in the DC universe, he won't have that weakness. But he's still weak, and not weak. He's strong as shit, but he has weakness, so he won't be able to. He's not like super duper tanky and wanky, and I just not murder, but I just beat anything. All right. So he's strong, but he has a few weaknesses of his own that he could work towards. Well, with the exception of the blue sun, except for the blue sunlight, since that's one of his weaknesses. But you know, I hope y'all enjoy this what if for all my DC fans and all my Marvel fans and my Superman and Lois fans, because this I feel like this might be some heat for real. So, without any further ado, I'm gonna let my intro play. And apparently I can't use my fucking JJK intro because I keep getting copyrighted. And I feel like they shadow banning me for that. And if that's the case, YouTube, stop it. Stop. I see so many edits that have over 1,000 views, 2,000 using the same song, and they don't get copyrighted and they get paid. But if I do it, it's a problem for me, huh? Yeah, y'all just say fuck Redux. I see how it is, man. It's cool. But I don't even care, man. Without any further ado, I'm gonna let the OG intro play, and we finna get into this what if. Now, how we start this off? Y'all probably wondering, Redux, how are you gonna get Hyperion to the DC universe, let alone, the Superman and Lois universe? I got you. Let's come over here and let's look at the globe that I have that watches over every single universe I put what ifs into, right? Take this journey with me. So, sit down, grab a snack. You're gonna have a fun ride. So, as you see over here, we start this what if off in the Marvel universe, right? And so, as Hyperion's parents, the Black King and Queen of the planet, like I said, I had to change the character a little bit. Hope y'all don't, start cutting my throat off too bad, but I'm gonna make it interesting, I promise, right? So, as Hyperion's planet was being destroyed, I think it's called Argon, I believe so. Argonian, he's an Argonian, but yeah. So as Argon was being destroyed, right? They planned to his father and mother said their goodbyes as his father before he left, before his father placed him in a pod. His father said, "Wherever your endeavors in this ship takes you to the earth that I scouted this planet out for, I want you to become the best man you can be. And whoever may take care of you, make them proud as you made me proud already. I already know what type of man you will be. So just do good, my son. And whatever you do, don't use your power for evil. Use it to better yourself and to help the people that is around you. I try to redeem myself as not being a conqueror, but as a fearless leader that loves taking care of his people. Don't fail and don't do what I did before trying to make it up." And then as he places Hyperion into the pod, his mother gives him a goodbye kiss on the cheek and says, "Be a strong man that I know you are, and maybe you'll be like your father or better," since she believes that their son has the best traits for the both of them. And so Hyperion's father hits the button as the ship blasts off out the atmosphere, and as it was escaping the atmosphere, the planet exploded and it released this dark wave of energy, right? And it hit the space pod, right? And as it hit the space pod, that dark energy opened a wormhole that just sucked everything in, that sucked like some of the debris in, right? It sucked everything in, and including this space pod. As the space pod gets sucked in, the wormhole closes, and it's basically like a black hole that just imploded on itself, and it's like nothing was there, like nothing ever happened, just a huge explosion. And so as that happened, we go inside the wormhole, as it's just an array of colors, and as it's just like a streak of colors. Those streak of colors is a bleed in the omniverse a bleed in the omniverse, right? And as the the pod was traveling through the omniverse, it stumbles. The pod, comes into a halt where it's in a space between worlds. It's in a space between universes, right? And so as that happens, um, this let's just say the presence from DC himself, the presence from DC said that looks like the he said, looks like the one above all is didn't catch this. He said, you know what? He owes me anyway. So for this one, I guess I could take it for him. And then as the presence he looks at his hat and he takes his hat off and he looks at the universes and then he pulls one universe out and he was like, Superman, how many times have we he said as the pod was just standing there, like the presence is big as fuck to the pod, like the pod is like really tiny, and he's just like he could see what's inside the pod. He knows it's Hyperion, and he was like Superman is my favorite story. He was just talking to the pod. He was like, Superman is my favorite story. You know how many times I helped him out too. He was like, I know I created everything, and I know I'm like an omnipotent being, but I can never get tired of Superman's story, regardless of, how many times it's being rewritten, the good and bad, the ups and downs. Superman is the embodiment of hope. And then he was like, I want to see how it plays out if we take you and put this in a specific universe of Superman that he's over. He said, as the president looks at the pod and he looks at it and, brings it in the palm of his hand as he shrinks size and he just holds it. He was like, He was like, so Superman just had his boys not too long ago. Excuse me, sorry for the burp. As we go back to the Earth that Superman and Lois on, they just had the boys Jonathan and Jordan, right? And so they're on a farm. Well, yeah, they're on a farm currently. As actually no, they're in Metropolis. No, they are on a farm, right? They're on a farm since Superman's mom was on vacation since she wanted to go out for her birthday and her friends, and it was like a girls' getaway, right? And so they're on the farm, and Superman, Clark, and Lois are talking about life and how Superman is like really happy to be a father, as he says, these are the best years of my life that I thought I would never get with you. He was like, thank you, Lois, thank you for blessing me with these beautiful sons of mine and blessing me with just being with you. And he said everything just feels so right. Everything just feels perfect. Like I feel like something else might happen that will be good. And that's when President said, well, Superman, since I have this right here. He can't hear him, so because Presence is just monologuing in this empty, vast space filled with universes upon universes. And so that's when the Presence said, here you go, Superman. He said, happy 90th anniversary for all these stories that you have. He said, I'll be interested in. He said, I don't have to watch to know what's going to happen, but I'm invested, so take care of this for me, Superman, as I owe somebody a favor. And he said that he owes the one above all, and he said, since this will make us square, now let's go see what's happening in his universe. As he left the Spectre and the Phantom Stranger to watch over the DC universe, right? And so as that happens, he puts his hat, he takes his hat off again, and then that's when the Presence puts the pod in the hat, sending it to that universe. And so he puts his top hat back on, and then he said, well, let's see how the story continues. Take it away, Redux. And so that's when he pulls the curtain, and then we flash back to the Earth as the pod was heading there towards the farm. And that's when Superman heard that's when he heard the that's when Superman heard something entering Earth's atmosphere. As he looked at it, and he was like, a space pod. And then that's when Lois got worried, and she said, what is it? And then that's when Superman said, it's a space pod. I need to go, Lois. And then that's when he bolts and dashes off and puts on his uniform. As it was a meteor shower, right? It was a meteor shower, same thing that happened with Superman. It was a meteor shower, and as Superman was able to take out the meteors pretty relatively quickly, as the General Lane was tracking the space pod due to the satellites that he has and what he has access to. And as Superman closes in on the space pod, he tries to he uses his X-ray vision to see what's inside, and he was surprised that it was a baby, about the age, about the months old of Jonathan and Jordan. And that's when Superman brought the space pod down before it could crash land on a farm field. And then that's when he lands the space pod safely, and Lois comes to see what it was while holding both boys, as she was just as confused as Clark on what it was. And then that's when Lois asked, like, could it be from your planet? And then that's when Superman was like, no, it can't be. Krypton was destroyed over, he said, let's just say over 27 years ago. Nah, let's just go with like 32 years ago. He's in his 30s. So yeah, he said, no, Krypton was destroyed over 32 years ago. And then that's when Lois is like, is there like a way that, this pod was able to, go off course somewhere else before it came here? And then he said it's possible, but at the same time that he was the only one that escaped from Krypton. And so that's when Clark opens the pod up, and he sees a baby that's dark, black. As he wondered what it was. He was like, a baby. Well, he knew what it was, but he's like, hey, you. As the baby was crying, and then it stopped crying when Clark was holding him. And then that's when General Lane pulled up to the farm, and he was like, what's going on? And then he came over to see that it was another child that fell from the stars. And then that's when Clark was like, General. And he was like, Clark, I know what you're going to ask. And then that's when Lois said, we can't give him up for adoption. It was like, he said, and then that's when Lois was like, I always wanted another one, but, the universe has a strange way of giving us what we wanted. And he was like, okay, I'll just forge up some papers to see what I could deal with. So you could say that you adopted him. And then, that's that. And we fast forward to the present, as we fast forward to the to now, right, where Jonathan, Jordan, and Clark named our fallen Hyperion from the stars Mark, right? So it's Jonathan, Jordan, and Mark, right? And so they were they were raised as brothers, and they always knew that Mark was different, since they don't really come from the same parents. So they just said that they adopted Mark, and the brothers accepted him. Like, he's just like family, bro. Like, you couldn't even tell. You would think that they were blood brothers. That's how close they are. And so yeah, even though Jordan was going through his stuff, and he's like antisocial, and he was on pills and stuff, more so Mark was there for Jordan than Jonathan. Jonathan was there, but he had his own stuff going on. But Mark, Mark was like, chill about everything. He was outgoing. He really liked the boxing program that he was in, and he just won, what is it? He won nationals, right? He won nationals. He got his trophy and his belt, and he's proud of that. And Jordan's proud of it too. He was like, no, I can't do all the credit. Is for my coaches, and I had you guys to support as well. And so, after that happened, the boys, let's just say a teacher duty day happened, and they didn't have school, but Superman was doing Superman duties, and that's when he heard Martha was slowly passing away. And as he said that, she whispered, "Clark, it's time to come home." As Clark heard what heard her, and that's when he bolted. He flew faster than the speed of sound as usual. As you can see, the iconic him breaking a sound barrier and going faster, as he was racing towards the farm. As Martha said, it's time to discuss it's time to put the plan in motion. And so that's when Superman got there, and by the time that he got there, the caretaker said that she passed away. And that really broke Superman's heart, as they held a funeral for Martha, and that's when everything pretty much goes to canon. And that's when everybody that knew Martha and to be there for Clark and Lois in general came over. It was a celebration feast, and kind of like a funeral. After the funeral, everybody came to give their condolences and give their farewells, and tell Clark and Lois that they're sorry for his loss, because it really hits Clark deep. And so after excuse me. After that, that's when Lana and gang pull up. Lana pulls up with Sarah and her husband. And so that's when Mark and Jonathan were like, Jordan. He was like, Jordan, look who's here. And then that's when Jordan's eyes, you were like, oh my gosh, I love her. I love Lana's daughter, like Sarah, right? He was like, oh my gosh, I was, and then Mark was like, come on, man, go talk to her. He was like, I'm not gonna say anything embarrassing, man. He said, I'm not like that, unless you provoke me. But I can't prevent what Jonathan might say. But yeah. But as that happens, excuse me, I keep yawning, man. As that happens, Jordan introduces himself to Sarah, and Sarah takes a liking to him, basically. And they proceed to follow Jordan, and Jordan and Sarah followed Mark into the barn house, with them talking and chatting among themselves, while Lois and Lana talk about the usual and stuff, as about what is it, about the state of Smallville. And they wanted to talk about Martha's house, how Lana helped her finance it, and she's willing to she wanted to give the house away, but Clark didn't want it to happen. So Lana and Lois struck up a deal. They struck up a deal saying that basically that what is it? They basically struck up a deal saying that that if they could get a job here, and which will most likely happen, that they could pay off whatever she has the remainder debt on her, and then they'll have the house in their own name, but they just got to finish paying off the mortgage, basically, which isn't much. But that's when Clark took the deal, and then that's when he wanted to break it to the boys. And so that's when what is it? That's when dang, I keep forgetting. Shoot, hold on. That's when they basically said okay, and they struck up a deal, and then that's when Lana said she'll bring the paperwork by next week, and then it sounded good for them, and then that's when what is it? That's when we flash back into the barn house, and they were chatting among themselves how they were, you know, how small they were when they were little, and how far they grown, and how they're all in the same grade, with the exception of uh, uh Mark, because nah, I'm not gonna do that. They're all in the same grade. They're starting their what is it? They're what is it? Let's say sophomore year. I was gonna go with junior, but we're gonna go with sophomore year, right? And so they're all starting with their sophomore year, and Jordan's trying to impress Sarah by getting to the Wi-Fi box, but the beams fall over, and that's when everything slowed down for Jordan. No, everything slowed down for Jordan, as he saw the beams falling, but Jonathan put himself over Jordan, and that's when the beams fell, and they were both like unconscious, basically. But we all know what's foreshadowing. We all know who really has powers and who doesn't at the moment. And so that's when Superman went running into the barn, trying to not use his powers. And then that's when he told Sarah to get the that's when he told Sarah to go call 911, and that's when she went outside and did. And then that's when he was able to use his powers as he threw the beams effortlessly off the boys. And then he said, "Are you guys okay?" And they were unharmed, as as they were in shock how how they how basically they were okay, and they were wondering how they were okay. He was like, maybe it's just the adrenaline. And so they were in shock how they were all okay. And then that's when fast forward, after that happened, they went back into the barn house, and so they found the ship. Mark and Jonathan and Jordan found the ship, and then they was wondering why there was an alien ship in there. And then Superman, Clark explained that he's actually Superman, and he comes from a different planet. And they were mad at first, and then that's when Jordan put two and two together, and then that that Jordan may have not Jordan, but Jonathan may have powers, and Jordan is just stuck being an antisocial freak, as he called himself, and he stormed off. And then that's when that's when he was highly upset about that, since he thought that if him having powers would make him normal, and he just wanted to be normal, but that wasn't the case. And so after that, he just wanted to he wanted to let Jordan cool off while while they run some tests on not Jordan, but Jonathan at the moment. And so everybody thinks Jonathan still has powers, but what is it? But it was actually Jordan. And so as Jordan is upset and angry, Mark comes in here telling him to calm down, and then they begin to talk and go back and forth, saying that, with Jordan saying that he doesn't get it, he's weird, and he's never gonna be accepted. And then Mark was like, "But you did talk to Sarah," and I was like, and then that's when Jordan was like, "Yeah, but that was different." He was like, "No, but you still did it, with your weirdness and all." And he was like, "But guess what? You were in control at that time. You weren't stuttering over your words. You were being you, man. And that shouldn't stop you from being you." So he said, so, just don't be bummed out by it, man. Like, there's, always, he was like, there's always a time, you might get powers. Who knows? Maybe you're just a late bloomer. He was like, or maybe it was just a fluke. It could have been like a one and done thing. So He said, don't count yourself out yet, man. He was like, but that he said that also doesn't mean, don't assume that you're gonna get powers, but at the same time, you know, it's not guaranteed for the both of you guys, so there's still a chance. He was like, and even if Jonathan does have powers, that shouldn't change their relationship, man. That shouldn't, you shouldn't envy him like that. You shouldn't envy him. He was like, we're gonna forge our own things, Maybe we might not be as the same as he is, but we're all different in our own ways, and that's when Jordan and Mark dapped each other up and they hugged it out, and then that's when I was like, man, I always got you, man, and I got all of y'all. We all brothers, man. And then that's when Clark called the boys in and he wanted to apologize for not telling them. And then, Mark was the first one that spoke up and said that he really wasn't upset about it. He was just like kind of upset that he didn't tell them the truth, but at the same time, he knows what Clark and Superman deal with on a daily basis, and he understood why that he wasn't able to he wasn't able to tell why he didn't want to tell them their identity, because if they would have figured out, they would have got to, Lois and them, and Lois wouldn't know what happened. So he understood that, and that's when they understood each other, and then that's when General Lane used the ELT to call Superman and tell him that they have a meltdown at a nearby nuclear facility, and that's when Superman bolts into the action and flies to wherever the nuclear facility is at, as he does everything pretty much to can it, goes underwater, uses his freeze breath to cool it down, and as that happens, we get a mysterious figure saying that he knows all about Clark, and he basically knows all about Clark and how he's always been watching, and he goes by the name Captain Luther, and we all know who Captain Luther is, as he basically placed himself in lead, as that's when the Captain Luther said that he knows he can't see through lead. He knows all about his weaknesses, and then that's when he said that he was just testing you, but next time we will meet and he will kill Superman. And that's when he flew off. That's where he basically escaped with Superman saying that he sealed off the cracks, and he prevented meltdown. He said whoever's after him or after the DLD, they have to be on the lookout, because they know who he is. They don't know who Superman, they don't know who Clark is, but they know who Superman is, and where he's from and all that. And that low-key scares Superman a little bit. But overall, he says that it's all done in a day's work, and he blasts us off to the sun and into the night, and it goes back home. As they gather around, and the boys come back and they have a conversation, basically saying that we're family first, and nothing's gonna break us apart. And from this day forward, Clark will be honest with Superman and Clark related things, and that's when everybody started asking Clark about his abilities and Superman stuff. And we leave it off with the camera panning, and that's when we come back to the house, to the Kent farm, and we see everybody sleeping, and that's when Mark is starting to sweat, and then we go deep inside Mark's biology figure, as his heartbeat is slowed and it stops, and then it begins to pump differently, basically pumping like an Arganian way. So his heart starts to pump, right? And so as that happens, that's when his cells start to expand and glow within his body, as his powers are beginning to awaken. But he doesn't, he basically doesn't, he doesn't know that yet. So as that happens, um, we zoom out to the Kent household once again, as we pan to the starry night sky with the shooting stars streaking across, and that's where we get to basically episode 2, where the boys are not liking this move, because everything they knew and had was at it was basically at in Metropolis, and now that they're moving to Smallville, it just makes things more increasingly difficult, and it's starting to put a strain on Jonathan's relationship. At first, everything was okay so far. So, after that, they made the big move, and they have their first day of school with Sarah showing Jonathan, Jordan, and Mark around the school. And that's when you know Sarah brought up the idea to have a party. There's gonna be a party, in the woods, like a bonfire, get together type thing, and she wants them to come through. And then that's when they both looked at each other, and that's when they both were like, we're not sure about this. And then that's when Sarah gives Jordan that look, the look I'm talking. Oh my goodness, the yawns. That look I'm talking about, where any girl can make a dude do anything if they give that certain look. And then that's when Jonathan was like, she's asking for you, man. You should go. He's like, you should totally go. And then that's when he was like, are you sure about this? And then that's when Jordan was like, fine, we could do this. And so, after school, everything pretty much, happens all the same. They sneak out, and Mark doesn't want to go because he knows it's the wrong thing to do, but at the same time, he's a teenager too, so he wants to experience it. And so they all sneak into an Uber, and they go to they all go to the what is it? They go, excuse me, these yawns are killing me. So they all go to the why do I keep saying that? Damn, man, bro, I'm all over the place today. Like, so much stuff I'm thinking about. So they all go to the party in an Uber, all right? They pulled up, and then that's when Sarah greeted him. And it's basically a bunch of people from high school, right? It's basically a bunch of other people from the school that they went to, having a good time. They got beer, soda, but we all know that they're drinking, and they're having a good time. Mark's over there chatting it up with some girls that he saw, and they came up to him, since he's that guy. He looked, and he over there, he got the he got the he got the 2.5 with the skin fade and the waves, man. Come on, man. He out here dripped out, and so he was talking to the girls, and they came up to him, and he was basically saying that he just moved here with his brothers not too long ago, and they could kind of already guess that he's adopted, but they don't say anything about it because it's really nothing to not make fun of. And if you do, I don't even know what they would gain from doing that. But Sarah and Jordan began to talk, and they basically were chatting it up, and Jordan was off the meds and off the drink too, so he had plenty of courage. And so he was like, they were basically trauma bonding with each other, basically telling them that how they had to take meds, and how Jordan was this and that, and how Sarah almost self-deleted herself at times. And so after that Jordan puts that game on her, and Sarah felt right for it, and they both locked lips, and they begin to Sarah kissed Jordan and Jordan started to kiss back, and that's when Sarah's boyfriend got, jealous, and then that's when she was like, it wasn't even like that. And then that was wrong as hell, bro. And then it took her like almost 2 seasons, well, to apologize for that shit. Or maybe it was like at the end, towards the end of season 1. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was like in season 2 she apologized for that, because that was wrong, bro. Like, oh my goodness. But oh, excuse me, these burps are killing me. But as I was saying, you know, he tells Jordan to get off his girl as he pushes him down, and then that's when he punches that's when he punches Jordan, and then that's when Mark heard all the noise, and he's like, "Excuse me for a second." So he put his little drink he drank down. You already know what he was drinking. He wasn't drinking that Don Julio now. We ain't getting too crazy. Just something like, a light beer. It was a little sweet and tangy to him, but he's a little tipsy. But at the same time, his powers aren't active at the moment yet, so he's feeling the effects of it a little bit. And so, as that happens, that's when Mark pulls up, and he's like, "Yo," "What are you doing?" He was like, "What are you doing to Jonathan?" And then that's when Sarah's boyfriend was like, Your brother was kissing my sister," and then he tried to push Mark, but Mark, sidestepped and then punched him in the face, and then that's when a huge fight started breaking out with Jonathan trying to protect Jordan, and Mark trying to protect Jordan too, and then that's when Sarah's boyfriend's friends come and pull up and try to jump Mark and Jonathan, which Mark can handle like 2 people by himself, but he was over here fighting 3 people at the same time. He was just like doing whatever he can, what his boxing training told him to do. And so he was just dodging and slipping, giving jabs and stuff, but at the same time there's more of him, there's more people that he has to fight, then there's more of him, so he's just doing the best he can. But eventually he gets overran as he breaks out of one of them tried to put him in a full Nelson, but he breaks out of it, and he dodges one of the punches, and he hits Sarah's boyfriend's goons hit one of the mans by accident, right? And then that's when Jordan was about to lose it, and then that's when Mark and Jonathan came by his side, and then that's when Mark that's when Jordan's eyes begin to glow, and he shot like the can that made like a huge explosion, and after that huge explosion, a huge fire broke out. But at that same time, that huge explosion gave some people powers and weird abilities, as he caused a forest fire, and then that's when Jonathan realized he never had powers the whole time. It was actually Jordan that had powers, and in that moment, that's when unknowingly a fight triggered in Mark, which made him access his powers too, but his powers were accessed differently, and so after that, that's when everybody started to run away from the fire, like everybody was running from the fire, and then that's when Jonathan took the ELT out his bag, and then he called for help. He called for Clark's help, and then that's when Clark and Lois were at home, and they were just thinking the boys were home. But then that's when Superman was like, "I gotta go," and then Lois was like, "What happened? The boys, they're in trouble." And then that's when Superman blasted off. Right, he blasted off, and he zoomed to where they were in the forest, and he sees the forest fire as Superman began to like help people out the fire. The firefighters pull up, and so that's when Mark was like, wait, he was like, "Wait, where's Sarah?" And then that's when Jordan was like, "Sarah, we have to go find her." And then that's when Mark was like, no, you and John, he said, you and John need to get out, man. Like, he said, you and John need to get out and go group up with the others. Go find Dad. He should be here. Just keep calling out for him. I'm gonna go find Sarah. And then that's when you know, Mark begins to run through the burning forest trying to find Sarah. But as Mark was running, he felt faster and lighter as he was running through the forest. And he felt like he was jumping higher, but he couldn't notice the difference because he was on adrenaline, right? And so as he was running, he sees Sarah trying to get somebody out the fire, but some burning debris falls on her, knocking her out. And then that's when she gets knocked out. And then that's when Mark saw her. He was like, Sarah. And then that's when he runs towards her, and then he tries to lift the he tries to lift some of the debris off of her, right? And so as he's doing that, excuse me, another burp, god damn. As he was trying to lift some of the debris off of her, Superman was putting out the forest fire. As he was there was this one section of the fire that was way more intense than the other side, so he wanted to take care of that side first. And as he was taking care of that side, he heard Mark struggling, and then that's when he looked over and he saw the firefighter struggling. So he had to choose between the firefighter and and Mark. And then that's when they were like, Superman, help. The firefighters like, Superman, help. The fire is too much. The water's not working. And then that's when Superman used his freezing breath. As he was doing that, he used his eye abilities and zoomed in towards where Mark is currently doing. And then he saw a huge tree fall on Mark as Mark tried to shield Sarah's body. And then that's when Mark was he got hit by it and he felt it, but at the same time he woke back up and he was like, I need the power. I need the power. Please let me save her. Just let me gather all my strength that I have to do this one good thing. And then as he had a flashback of his dad, basically he calls Clark dad, so Clark in his Superman outfit as he helps people and knows of the super strength. And then that's when Clark looked puzzled as he saw Mark lift a huge tree off of himself, and he threw it over himself, and the tree landed over there for several hundred feet away. And then that's when he used his super strength to break the tree that was under Sarah, and then he threw some of the remaining pieces off, and then he carried Sarah. And then that's when he ran through the fire. As he was over there running, he ran and jumped, and he noticed that he was jumping pretty high. And so after that after Superman flies around, creating a whirlwind in the air, and then he uses his freeze breath, and then he flies in a circular motion and then goes in, as he created he blew out the fire and basically blew cold air so hard that he created a snowy effect for a good 10 minutes. And so after that Mark comes out with Sarah, and that's when Superman goes towards Mark, and then he said, we'll talk about this later. And he goes to and then Superman takes Sarah to Sarah's father. And that's when they give a report on what happened. And then they said that next time if they had a bonfire party, make sure you try to keep it safe. He said, but at the same time, you kids shouldn't be doing this, so don't ever let it happen again. And then that's when at that same time, that's when General Lane, sent the video to Lewis about, Jordan's powers, and they saw Jordan, but they were able to blur everything out. So it made it seem like it was just like a spontaneous combustion, right? And so, the boys got home, and Superman, Clark was still in his Superman suit, as he was like, I'm beyond disappointed in you boys, but that can wait. Your punishment is you will not leave that room until we tell you to do so. And he said, now, why did you use your powers? And then that's when Jonathan said that he didn't have powers. It was Jordan that had powers. And so that's when Jordan explained how he felt, and he told him that it originally started in the barn when those beams fell. It was actually It was actually Jordan that protected Jonathan. He flipped over at the last second because he felt in control. And now that he never felt like in control before. He never felt so calm, like he was sure what to do before, and he was explaining how he felt. And so at that same moment, that's when Superman said, and you, Mark, he said, I expected better from you. I'm disappointed in you also. And then that's when Mark was like, yeah, he was like, I know, and I'm sorry for that, but at the same time, I couldn't let those two go off on their own. He was like, it doesn't make it, he's like, sure, it doesn't make it right, but at the same time, I'd rather for, us to be together than, two of us or even one of us apart. And then that's when Superman was like, he was right. He said he didn't want to admit that, Mark was right, but he understood where Mark was coming from. And then that's when Superman also said, what was that in the forest? That's when that's when Mark said that he didn't know. He was like, he just, he was trying to save Sarah, because if a few more trees would have fell, that she probably would have died, and a huge tree fell on him. And in that moment, he didn't want power. He needed the power to save her. And that's when he said that, and something just like bursted in me, and I felt all this limitless strength. He said, and then I was able to lift, the tree off of her, and, some of the debris, and I never ran so fast and, felt so fast in my life before. And then that's when Clark was like, wow, so we have two boys that develop powers. And then that's when Jonathan was like, yeah, I'm still normal. He was like, there might be a chance for me, but, other than that, I'm still normal. And so as that happened, the boys got, excited, more so Mark and Jordan, and how Jordan thought he wasn't going to be a freak anymore because he has powers, and he finally feels like he, belongs somewhere. And so at that same time, Jordan and the Mark are like basically, hyped up about how they have powers. And, Clark said they were going to go to the Fortress of Solitude tomorrow. He was going to take the boys as, he came in a room late at night. He was like, hey, boys, just let you know, wear something, he was like, make sure you have something warm to wear because it's going to get chilly. And then they were excited as, Jonathan wasn't, as excited because, he thought he had powers too. And then he realized that he didn't have powers. And so he's basically the odd one out. And so the next day comes and, Jonathan takes his driver's license, his license test. Mark already has his license. He was already on that. So he already had his license. But, as that happened, they began to, Lewis took Jonathan to his test site and, to take his driver's license test. And so as that happened, that's when Clark told Lois goodbye before he grabbed both boys and blasted off into the early morning sun. And the boys they get there relatively like 1 minute, since Superman was just cruising speed. And so they land into the Fortress of Solitude, and they see like a projection image of Clark's father, Jor-El. And then he wanted to scan Jor-El. They wanted to run some more tests on Jordan to see if he has powers. And what basically happened is Jor-El said that he's gonna show powers, but at the same time it might not be as potent. So this is just might be like an exponential growth, and Jor-El thinks that the human DNA that Jordan has will eventually override the Kryptonian DNA, so he won't get any powers. But at that same time, they ran tests. He wanted to run tests on on Mark II, and Jor-El's father said that whatever he is, he's not from this planet. He said, and then that's when Clark said, obviously he knows that. He's like, no, he's not from any planet here. He's unknown. There's no known races. He was like, what about his abilities so far? And then that's when Jor-El said, so far he might grow to have the same abilities as you or more. And then that's when he said that he has the potential to fly, use cold breath, heat vision, super durable, and that's when Jor-El was like, but at the same time we don't have any species that's relating to him in my database. And he was like, and trust me, there's nothing in the galaxy or the next one that I know what it is, and I can't put something around it. And so after that, Jordan was kind of discouraged at the fact that his grandfather thinks that it's just going to be like a phase, and then after that he wasn't going to have powers anymore. And then that's when Mark, on the other hand, Jor-El told him that his powers are definitely there to stay, and he might only just grow and be getting stronger. And so after that, they come back to the farm, and they see everything back. They see everything how they left it. And Lois got home early because they were at that Fortress of Solitude for like quite a while, and you got to understand it's probably like a different time zone while they're over there too. So after they got back to the from the fortress, Jonathan came out, and he said that he failed his license test, and he said psych he passed, and then everybody was happy for him. And then that's when Mark was like, finally you get your license, welcome to the club. And then that's when he was like, shut up, man. And then they started to laugh and giggle and having a good time. And next day comes, and they get ready for school. As Jordan had this brand new confidence since he found out that he had powers. He also took the liberty of joining the football team since he saw his brother getting bullied by the football team itself. So he decided that nobody's not gonna mess it with his brother but him, as he tried out for the football team. And as he did that, Jonathan asked, why did Jordan try it out? And then that's where I'm gonna be leaving this what if off. Man, I appreciate all y'all for all the love and support that y'all showing me, bro. I'm going to be uploading this what if season 1, episode 1, and the prologue and the episode 1. Man, I appreciate all y'all for all the love and support y'all be showing me, for real, bro. Like, y'all don't understand how much I care about this channel and what content I'll push out. Like, I really do this. I really love doing this. So I just want to thank all y'all for all the love and support that y'all showed me, man. And when we pick back up with Superman and Lois, you already know what's gonna be taking place. They on the football field with it, and so some things are gonna be fire. I overall I just think this what if is gonna be fire for real. And so I just appreciate all y'all for all the love and support, man. Mori XDXD part 3 will be dropping after I drop, since I just dropped the filler part. So that was like a post to get you by, and the Young Justice Gojo. So that's another post that y'all could eat on while I record this season 2 or 3 Mori XDXD, not season 3, season 2. So other than that, man, I appreciate all y'all, man. I'm gonna let this outro play, and this is Redux What If signing off. Oh, and another thing, vote for that tab on who you want Gojo to be with, man. It's either Zatanna, Wonder Girl. I forgot what other girl I put up there, but yeah, Artemis too. I think it was Artemis. Yeah, Artemis too. But y'all need to choose, man, cause if y'all don't choose, I'm gonna choose for y'all. So far, we got one vote for Wonder Girl. And, I'm not saying that, Wonder Girl is a... Excuse me. Ooh, almost burped. I'm not saying Wonder Girl is an ugly girl. No. I'm just saying, like, what do y'all want? Because if y'all don't choose, I'm going to choose. So far, Wonder Girl's in the lead, and she taking the lead. So, switch it up, Just let me know what y'all want overall, man. And I'm going to catch y'all later. This is Redux What If signing off. Have a nice day, night, morning, evening, whatever you are at watching this. Peace out.